This month marks the 30th anniversary of Ubisoft. It was created as Ubisoft Entertainment Software by 5 brothers in the Guillemot family. Guillemot, something like that. I don't speak French, I'm sorry. Anyway, in celebration, I'm going to be looking at 30 games, a part 2 retrospectives. There is just too many games to cover. I picked a handful. For this first one, I'm going to go through a lot of the more obscure games, maybe the ones that didn't really make much hits, a lot of them being tie-ins to movies and TV series and stuff like that. And the next one, I'll be going through their better series, the franchises that we all know and love Ubisoft to have a hand in. I will say I'll be going through these pretty fast. I have recorded all the footage for this, but I haven't really played them, so I don't really know a lot. So some of these may be fast, some of these may be long. If there's a game that I like, I will droll on as long as it takes me to get out of breath. So now let's get to it. 187 Ride or Die was released on August 23rd, 2005 for the PS2 and Xbox, and it was developed and published by Ubisoft. You are gang members, it's a racing game, but you can shoot, it's car combat, you know, just like Mario Kart, but with gangsters or something like that. Let's move on to Brothers in Arms Hell's Highway, which was released on September 23rd, 2008 for the PS3 and Xbox 360. It was developed by Gearbox and published by Ubisoft. It is a World War II game where you shoot Nazis. That's all you really need to know. So let's move on to Cold Fear, which was released on March 15th, 2005 for the PS2 and Xbox. Developed by Darkworks and published by Ubisoft. Now this is a survival horror game where you're on a boat. Resident Evil has gone on boats sometimes, but there's zombies and undead and there's normal soldiers. It's actually kind of cool. As I was researching horror games, I found this one and I had no idea it ever existed. So I was kind of surprised. I want to dig into it a little bit more, maybe in a later feature. Next, we have Driver San Francisco, which was released on September 6, 2011 for the PS3 and Xbox 360. It was developed and published by Ubisoft. Now, this is the last Driver game to have ever come out, and it is this insane game. You are this guy who goes into a coma, and because you're in a coma, you can possess other people to drive. That's right, you're in a weird dreamlike coma where you exist in reality through other people. It is a weird game. In that said, it's still a driver game where you're driving around doing stuff, and not really for me. As well as Haze, which was released on May 20th, 2008 for the PS3. Developed by Free Radical Entertainment and published by Ubisoft. This is a game that was hyped a lot. I think it was one of those games where it was called a Halo Killer along with Killzone 2. You are a super soldier that takes the stuff, I believe it's called Haze, I can't quite remember, but you take the stuff that makes you into a super soldier, and you find out that the people that you're working for are not good, so you rebel against them with this, these radicals, and you don't use Haze, I believe, for a good portion of the game after that. Really weird, a very generic kind of shooter. Besides that premise, it's very gung-ho, kind of oorah kind of soldier thing. It's fine, I suppose. And now we have Red Steel 2, which was released on March 23rd, 2010 for the Wii. It was developed and published by Ubisoft. This is a much better game than the original Red Steel, which was advertised for like the game for the Wii. You can use a sword or whatever. This one is a Western samurai kind of thing as well, but it has good cel shading graphics, and the combat's a lot more pleasant thanks to the Wii Motion Plus with it. It is again an okay game, kind of an okay action game, but I liked it better than the first one, I should say. Next we have Toy Soldiers War Chest, which was released on August 11th, 2015. I did it for the PS4 and Xbox One and PC. It was developed by Signal Studios and published by Ubisoft. This is a kind of tower defense game where you play soldiers and you build up things and you're defending your base essentially, and you can play as G.I. Joe people and Prince of Persia people and not Prince of Persia, Assassin's Creed people and some other characters like He-Man, and that's kind of like the gist of it. Let's move on to 13, which was released on November 18th, 2003 for the PC, PS2, and Xbox. It was developed and published by Ubisoft. South End Interactive for Xbox, I should say. 13, played by David Duchovny, and some other actors are in it as well. It was very hyped at the time. He is kind of brainwashed. It seems like it's about the assassination of Kennedy, and he's basically escaping like the FBI or some other shady organization who wrongly framed him. It's cel-shaded. It's a pretty neat little first-person shooter in the early days on the consoles, when they're trying to redefine it after Halo, essentially. It's an okay game. You know, it had a lot of buzz during its time, but as it is, it's just kind of, okay. All right, let's move on to Ubisoft's long list, and this is a long list of a short list of interactive software that was based on different properties. First, we have The Adventures of Tintin, the game, which was released on December 6, 2011 on PC, Nintendo 3DS, PlayStation 3, Wii, and Xbox 360. Of course, this was based on Peter Jackson and Steven Spielberg's animated film of the same name, without the game, of course. And it was developed and published by Ubisoft. I didn't really care for the game. I loved the cartoon growing up on Nick Jr. Nickelodeon, wherever it was shown. And the game I liked a little bit better. It's kind of like an adventure game with a little bit of action thrown in there. And mostly I would call it more of a kind of a platformer adventure game. Next, we have Beowulf the game. I just love saying that. Beowulf! If you've seen the trailer, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Anyway, this was released on November 13th, 2007 for the PS3, PC, and Xbox 360. It was developed and published by Ubisoft. Now, the game starred Russell Crowe? I can't quite remember. It was based on a CG movie. Angelina Jolie was in it. It was an alright film. It's an alright God of War-esque brawler, slasher, hack and slash game. It's, whatever. It's whatever. As well as Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, which was released on October 9th, 2003 for the Game Boy Advance and PS2, based off the same name of the movie. You're going through the movie as well as some extra stuff in there. Another basic hack and slash kind of thing. James Cameron's Avatar, the game, launched on December 1st, 2009 for the PS3, Xbox 360, PC, Wii, and DS. It was published and developed by Ubisoft. Now, I remember James Cameron going on stage at the Ubisoft press conference at E3. I believe it was 2009. It's either 2009 or 2008, but he came on and he talked about the game like it was going to blow everyone's minds. Now, granted, it's not a terrible game that ties into a movie, but it's not a good game either, the way that he described it. He described it like it was going to be it's just, oh, you gotta see it sometime. Maybe I'll link it in the description below, but man, it was something. Next, we have Lost via Domus, released on February 22nd, 2008 for the PS3, Xbox 360, and PC. It was developed and published by Ubisoft. I, along with my friend Lauren, have played through the entire game in a 7-part Let's Play series. I will not fucking talk about this game another word. That's right, I said fucking because if you watch those Let's Plays, you know exactly how I feel about this game. Next, we have Peter Jackson's King Kong, the official game of the movie. That is the actual goddamn title. It was released on November 21st, 2005 for the Game Boy Advance, GameCube, PC, PS2, Xbox DS, and Xbox 360 a day later. Now I remember this getting a lot of buzz because it's the first HD game to have come out for the Xbox 360. A lot of people bought it because, you know, it was a day one thing and they're thinking, you know, what should I really play? It was an okay movie, super long, way bloated in my opinion. It's an okay game. The thing that you're seeing right now is based on the PSP version, which is not a good version of the game, but the Xbox 360 version is a very decent tie-in to the movie. Now, last but fairly not least, my favorite game of all time, maybe not of all time, but of this list, most fucking certainly. Sorry, I swore again. It is Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, the game, released on August 10th, 2010 for the PS3. It was developed and published by Ubisoft. I am a huge fan of Scott Pilgrim, both the movie, this game, the comics, love it to death. They're all in their weird separate universe. This game has some glitches where it freezes occasionally, but I have replayed it so many times with all the characters, with my friends. It is an amazing brawler. It is so beautiful and gorgeous. It is a spiritual successor, a spiritual rebirth, I should say, of River City Ransom. So good. Such a good game that came out of nowhere. That was based on a property that probably shouldn't have been good, but it's just one of the best games ever. Whew, I have said a lot of words in this thing. I'm sorry for going so fast. There's just so much to cover. So that was part 1. Join me for part 2 in the next video.